So here's the Senville 12,000 BTU Mini Split. I'm going to be installing this in my fifth wheel. I bought this from Harbor Freight. I believe it was about $35. I'm going to be mounting it to that. I'm going to be using these metal stainless steel zip ties to secure the legs down to that. This is in the top corner of my RV. I double checked, and the head unit will fit right there. I'm going to remove that cabinet door right there. That's where it's going to mount. So I just finished installing the hitch right here on the bumper. I left it a little bit loose so I can move it around wherever I need it to be. But the basket will come off right here, and I'm going to run the lines right up between the windows right there, and the hole's going to be drilled up there. Okay, I forgot to say earlier, I got this off of Amazon. I believe it was about 20 bucks. And I had to put an adapter because I put a level on this to make sure it was level, because in case you don't know, most AC compressors need to be level in order to function properly. I don't know exactly the reasoning behind that, but I do know that it's important. So I had to stick a spacer. I found some, I think it was like 1/4-inch steel plate, and put that underneath there when I tightened it down, and put a level on this and leveled it all out. So that's good to go now. So now I removed the hinges. There's a hinge there, and then there was a piston that helped lift the door up. I removed those. I've already measured the distance. It'll fit from here over there, and the same thing with the height. So this is pretty much like the perfect size. Also, if you do this, this is a slide over here. This whole thing slides out. You need to make sure that your depth, it doesn't stick out too far, that the slide will end up hitting it when it goes to close. But I've already checked that, and it'll clear it by a couple of inches over here. So this didn't turn out exactly the way I wanted it to, but anyways, I had to mount a board up here because I needed to lower this down. I know a lot of people have mounted this up higher, but I know a little bit about electrical motors and stuff like that, and I'm not saying I'm an HVAC guy, but I do know that increasing the intake pressure, like the pressure it's trying to pull when it's trying to suck air in and it can't suck enough air, can cause stress on, electrical components like I'm sure the blower motor and stuff like that. But anyways, I just didn't want to take a risk on that, and they recommend that you have, I think it's like 5 3/4 inch from the roof. And so unfortunately I had to put this wooden bracket on there, but I mean, I don't really care. It's not a big deal to me. So this is the mount that the interior section mounts onto. That is in fact 5 3/4 inches, and then also you're supposed to have 4 inches of space this way, and it's going to be mounted like right there. And so that gives me the space that I need on the sides and then on the top. And then the other important thing is, I do know about AC systems. You want it to be level. You want your compressor to be level because of the refrigerant levels and stuff like that. So make sure it's level as well. And that's it. And then I'll show you the next part in a second. All right, so it's mounted now. And this is the 5 3/4 inches from the top. Like I said, make sure it's level. It's got the proper spacing over here that's required. And in my opinion, the most important thing is, if you look at the slide, this is the slide in my RV, and this is directly from the side. So it's got probably about maybe 2.5 3 inches of clearance. So I'm gonna figure out something to do over here. I don't know what I'll do, but I'll cover it up. I'm gonna clean it up. This is just for mounting purposes. Just want to make sure everything's going to clear. So there's the putty, and I trimmed it down. This is what I trimmed off. But I don't know about that clay. We'll see. They gave this putty clay stuff that's supposed to seal it up. I don't know if that stuff hardens. It honestly has nothing listed in the instructions about it. So I don't know if it hardens or if it just stays pliable, or if it's meant to where if you need to take it out, you can. I have no clue. I have no idea how good of a seal. I personally would have liked to silicone this, but I'm gonna try and trust the manufacturer here. If for some reason I don't like it later on, then I'm just gonna pull it off and I'll put some silicone around there, because I know silicone will seal it up, so we'll see. So I actually forgot to record this part, but right here, this piece pops off. This whole thing pops up. This piece pops off. You just stick a screwdriver in that hole right there. There's 2 clips up there. There's 1 clip up there, and then 1 clip down here, but you pop this out first, and then it just pops off. It's pretty tough. You're not gonna break it. The wiring in here, this is the way it goes. This is the other end of it. I forgot to record it, and I really don't feel like popping that back off again, but this is the way it's gonna go. The number 1 spot is gonna be your red. The number 2 spot is gonna be your black. The number 3 spot is gonna be your white. And then they call this green, but it's baby blue in my opinion. And that goes to your ground. And I confirmed this with the manufacturer. So, yeah. So my piping is gonna come out right here. So what I did, like I said, this is an RV. I cut it right here between these 2 windows. And there's my hole going outside that my coolant lines and my wiring's gonna run through. So this is something else I haven't seen anybody mention. So on your cord, a lot of people fish it through the wrong spot on the videos I've seen. This is like 33 cents at Lowe's or Home Depot. It's called a knockout bushing. It's a 1/2 inch. This is the proper way to do it. But if you look up here, this hole right here, so this way the wire, if there's any vibrations, the wire doesn't rub up against this metal, but you just push this in here and that just locks into place. And then now there's no sharp plastic, there's no sharp metal edge to rub against. It's just a nice, softer plastic right there. So I've got the unit upside down right here, but I just wanted to say, so this is from the factory where it's set up over here. This is where your drain plugs is gonna come out from the factory and all your piping and everything. And the instructions, it says, make sure you install the rubber plug on the other side if you're not gonna use that drain. Just to let you know, this is rubber over here and it is already installed. So the instructions are not accurate. It's already installed, you don't have to worry about that. So there's my hole from the inside. It's wrapped and it's mounted up there on the wall. And then I'm gonna use probably some grape foam to seal up that hole, because obviously the hole's a little bigger than what it needs to feed through there. Although I will say that size of that hole makes it a lot easier to install, because I'm doing this all by myself. Nobody's helping me off camera. This is 100% by myself. It's not super hard. You just got to be careful. And I'm going to clean all this up. I'm just trying to get it installed because the AC is completely out in this RV. So here's what it looks like from the outside after I fed everything through. Just in case anybody was curious, I still have all that slack to get to the outer unit, and it's only going right here, so I've got plenty of extra. Sorry about rotating the video, but it is what it is. So to get the whole shot in there, I wanted to do it the other vertical instead of horizontal. So there it is, mounted. I used these metal zip ties. I can't remember how much they're rated for. They were like $5 at Harbor Freight, but Project Farm, 115 pounds working load. So what is that, 460 pounds total? This thing weighs like 50 pounds. So, and I might even add more of them. I can technically put more of them on there, but anyways, there it is. Finish hooking it up. So since there's no code on RVs, I decided to run the Romex right here. I'm gonna cover all that up anyways. That'll protect the wire. And then I'm going to figure out some sort of protective to go from here over to the RV. But there's the wiring. This is your this is what powers it and goes to your breaker box, and this is what goes to the indoor control unit. All right, this is where some people are probably not going to agree with me and say that it's not necessary, but I'm very meticulous, and you know, I'm not saying it's the right way, but I think it's the most accurate way. Let me put it like that. So I chose to purchase this yellow jacket wrench. You can use a crow's foot, and I'm sure some people in the comment section will probably say that, but I've seen multiple engineers, you know, people who are far smarter than me, probably smarter than a lot of people in the comment sections, who have said that when you use a normal traditional torque wrench with a crow's foot on the end of it, it changes the overall length and kind of messes with the torque numbers. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I'm not smart enough to figure it out, but I know that this right here will not. So to me, it was worth it, because if you end up losing your refrigerant and it's not tight enough, or it's over tightened or whatever, pretty much from what I've read, people have had to pay about $1,000 to have the system refilled. And so yeah, I don't want to have to do that. I'm sure somebody might be able to find it cheaper, but regardless, I'm probably going to end up installing already that I figured between some friends and family, probably about 6 of these mini splits. So for, I think it was $150 or $200. To me, it's money well spent. You know, just the money I'm saving from doing this myself easily pays for this. So here I am about to connect the lines. Everything I've read, I highly recommend using that. A lot of people absolutely believe in it. Figured it can't hurt. So again, 25.8 is the specs for a 1/2-inch diameter line. It doesn't matter what size your unit is. This one specifically is a 12,000 BTU. But regardless, all of their units that have 1/2-inch lines, according to what they told me and according to what the instructions say it's 25.8. You tighten initially, then you loosen it up, and then you tighten again to, I believe it's 27. I'll double check. But anyways, yeah. And so then the size looks like it's like between a 23 and 24, I think. I didn't have that big, so a 5/16 works. It's a little loose, but it's tight enough that it'll work. Okay, both lines up there are installed. The small one was 11, and then you loosen it, and then last time you retighten it again to 11.8. All right, this is my setup. I'm using a Robinair. You don't have to buy this, but this is like commercial grade. It's a 2-stage, 5 CFM. I mean, you could buy a cheaper vacuum, but the stronger the vacuum, the lower the microns it's going to get in the system, which means that there's less moisture in there, which means that your system is going to last longer. When I spoke to one of the engineers at Senville, if I'm saying that correctly, he confirmed what I had read online. And just because you have moisture in your system doesn't mean that it's not going to work. The moisture is just going to turn into acid, and it's going to slowly corrode your compressor. And where you might have gotten 15 years of life, or maybe even 20 years of life out of one of these, you might instead get 7 years or 5 years, depending on how much moisture's in there. So that's why I wanted the best, a really strong vacuum. I think I paid $200 for this. And a lot of those other vacuums, by the way, once you use them once, you might be able to use them twice. And then from what people have said, they're meant to be used once or twice. The ones that are like, you know, $79 or something like that. This one's basically commercial grade. I mean, you could probably use this thing probably 100 times. So bang for your buck. If you're going to install more than probably a couple of them, there's even a possibility you might even install maybe 3, you're probably better off getting, you don't have to necessarily get this one. This one's a 2-stage, which it just pumps quicker and it's a little stronger. Robin Air in general is a really good brand. They have some single stages that are cheaper. But I just wanted, in case I ever have to use this for a central AC system, since I learned all about HVAC in the process of doing this, I was like, you know, I could use this on a central AC system too to help out one of my family members or friends. So that's why I chose to get this. But anyways, so this is an apron line right here. This is 3/8 on this end, and this is called Megaflow, this line. And this is a 3/8, and that's going to a 1/4 inch right there. This is an apron valve, and yeah, here's the box, or Apian, maybe it's not apron, Apian. I haven't heard anybody say these names, so this is the one right here. It's 5/16 to 1/4 inch, so it's 1/4 inch down there where it connects to my hose. 5/16 is what connects to the valve on the Senville. And then I got my CPS micron gauge, which this is like one of the most accurate gauges. I think that was like $150. It's way more accurate than the analog gauges, where all it does is just show you your vacuum level. This actually shows you your moisture in there. So, oh, and then I took the valve out. This is what comes inside there. This is actually on that back piece, but I went ahead and removed the Schrader valve over there, because that lets you increase the vacuum and the flow, and it just gives you a stronger vacuum. I think that's about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and fire it up. So you can see my vacuum level dropping for the moisture level. They say it's supposed to be below 500. This is how fast this thing, with this setup right here, I'm almost already to the level, and it's only been going for about 60 seconds, maybe 70 seconds. This is the difference between having a strong 2-stage pump and taking out that Schrader valve, that valve up there, and then using this large line. This is how fast it pulls the vacuum. On this video right now, I'm at 1.5 minutes, and I turned it on maybe 10 seconds after I started it. Maybe 5 seconds. So I'm gonna pull this down until it pretty much doesn't go any lower. Probably maybe like 150, and then I'll shut it off, and then I'll just sit here for an hour and see if it stays below 450. I'll turn this back on whenever I get to 150, and I'll time it too. So this is after 30 minutes. I decided to let it run for at least 30 minutes, just because I know once it gets down to a really low pressure, which I don't know exactly what that is, but I know that when it gets down to a really low vacuum, that's when water starts boiling, because of the atmospheric pressure, water boils, and then that starts removing water from the line. I don't know how long that process takes. So although this had pulled it down, after 10 minutes, it had pulled it down to 85 microns. So it's only gone down 9 microns in 20 minutes. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe that 9 microns was some moisture that it pulled out of there over those 20 minutes. So I'm just going to let it keep vacuuming probably for 45 minutes, about 15 more minutes. And then I'm gonna seal it off and we will see if it holds a vacuum. And also I'm in Houston basically. And it's like 100% humidity out here right now. It just rained like a day ago. So the humidity is very high. So I think this is a really good number considering how humid it is here right now. So it's been about 45 minutes. When I moved the ball valve, I don't know if there was a little bit, sometimes they say there's a little bit of air. I moved the ball valve a few times just to let everybody know. You're supposed to move that thing a few times while it's vacuuming, and you'll see the number jump up on your micron gauge. But it's supposed to work the air out of the ball valve. I did that a few times like I was told to, and but I don't know, when I shut it, it jumped from 70 to 78. But yeah, so now we're gonna start a timer for an hour, sitting at 78 microns, and we'll see what it climbs up to over the course of an hour. Oh, and also the thing I like about this is even if there's a leak in my vacuum or in this hose, this little valve, this one right here, that's what I like about this, is I shut this valve right here and now it's isolated to just the sensor and the system. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts about, you know, because apparently depending on whether or not you get an expensive, I'm not saying you have to have an expensive, but it's just less likely. Like this hose is the same brand as that valve, and it's kind of expensive. I think the hose was like 50 bucks. But they almost never leak. That's why I chose to do it. So, but yeah, that valve allowed me to isolate it at the system, and so we can see what's up. So we're gonna start a timer for an hour. So I'm at 45 minutes right now, and I'm at 160. So I'd say we got a pretty good vacuum. I don't think I've seen too many people hold for an hour at 160. Most people are okay if it goes back up to like 300. Good vacuum pump. All right, this is 1 hour exactly. I think we're good to go. This is 2 hours later, 2:30. Just in case anybody was wondering, these valves are a 5mm hex. Do not try and use a 3/16, you will strip it. All right, here we go, guys. Moment of truth. What are we gonna name the video? Guy burns down RV and mini split, or how to install mini split? I feel air blowing. We're gonna make it cold in here. Well, it's cold air coming out. That wraps it up. I'll do one more video and I'll stick a thermometer in there. Oh yeah, I can feel the air getting real cold. So we'll see what the air coming out of there is on the next clip. 3.6 amps. 69 degrees. It's not on eco mode, and the fan is on the highest setting.